Hey guys, welcome to Task. I'm Justin. So I get the honor to introduce Corey G. If anybody doesn't know, he's a huge inspiration to us. He's a house manager. He's been a crew lead. He's a third-year student. And me personally, I look up to him a lot, and he's taught me a lot. So without further ado, here's Corey G.
Hi, guys. I thought I'd be more nervous than I am, really. I just want to start off by saying, like, for me, sharing my story before, as soon as I found out we had to do this, I started thinking about it every single day. And a lot of the time I had a hard time because I didn't think my story didn't mean anything. Like, it had no value, right? And so my goal is to maybe, hopefully, reach one of you guys or inspire you or maybe show that you guys aren't alone, really. So I just want to start off by a little backstory. I grew up 20 minutes north of here. I have a couple siblings, right? I'll try to keep it as clean as I can because I know our rules. Had two parents, right? They were Mormon. We were Mormon. I grew up Mormon. Really, it was a pretty good childhood, you know. I never really went without. The one thing I did notice was something was always missing with me. As far as like connection, I guess it started young. Now that I really think about it, with my siblings, my parents, I always felt alone. I felt isolated when I was a child, when I was a kid. And so I always found the kids that I thought were cool. And so I started doing things that I thought made me cool, and they accepted me because I would co-sign their bullshit, I guess. And really, it kind of went like that for a while with me. I got into sports, you know, and that's when it started was in the sports because I would get injured. And then I found I got to get injured and get pain meds. Right? And I liked the way it made me feel because it made me feel free. I didn't have to worry. And I liked who I was because I didn't know who I was. I was so, like, I didn't know really who I was, so I wanted to be you. And I wanted to be you. And like, if I thought you were cool, I wanted to be you. And so I would change who I was because I had no identity. And so when I found substances, I liked who I was because I felt like I knew who I was. I felt cool. I didn't have any fear or anxiety, you know. And so it kind of went like that for a while. And I started to isolate even more and rebel and hang out with the wrong crowds. And I started to get in trouble. And it kind of progressed faster and faster and faster. And then I just remember after high school, that's all my life had become about was partying and doing things I wasn't supposed to. But I really didn't care about anybody but myself. I was super selfish. And it just kept really getting worse until I may have had some trips along the ways, but the really key points is that it was a 20-year process for me, the journey to getting me to Red Barn. And so I have a lot of dark times, I guess. There's only two people in this room that really know my story fully, you know, and I've never shared it with anybody until you guys. And you won't get all the details because obviously I can't do that. But I mean, I became hopeless, like super hopeless, where I didn't even want to live. And I just remember, like, fast forward a little bit in 2019, I just kind of snapped and I tried to commit suicide. And I just remember waking up in the primary children's hospital, like hooked up to all these machines. And I was pissed. I was pissed off that I was still there. And I look back on it and it's so crazy, like the journey that I went through to get to Red Barn. And that I have to be here for a reason. and I was just angry. I was an angry person. I didn't know why I was angry, and I think maybe because I felt so alone throughout my life. When I had people there, I just didn't know how to have people there, if that makes sense. I didn't know how to connect with people. And I still struggle with that. And enough for who I was and being okay in my own skin, what was hard for me. And I just remember that at that moment, I was like, I had a lot of things in my life, and I've gained them and I've lost them so many times over. And this was just the last time I kind of gave up. And I just remember saying that I had brain damage and that I might not be the same. And I hurt a lot of people. I hurt a lot of people in the process, you know, and they stuck through it with me, and they still support me to this day, and I'm forever grateful for that. Sometimes I ask myself why I deserve what I have today, and before I would like, why me? I would always play the victim of why I had this problem with me, or why I had an addiction problem. And and really I don't know, once I started to look at myself for like, it's okay and I accepted who I was, you know, like I started to, I don't know, I kind of jumped around. So after the 2019 incident, right, I just kind of kept going downhill. I lost things, I lost more things, and I just kind of gave up completely. And so I really isolated for about 6 months in my parents' basement. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to live. I didn't have the courage to do it again, because every time I tried to commit suicide, I would, somehow I'd be here every time. And I'd wake up, and today I know why, because there's a plan for me. And so finally and this is the crazy part. Like, when I really look at my story, like, I got to Red Barn, and it's truly a miracle how I got here. I went out one last time and I said, this is it, I'm done. Like, I'm done, right? You know, so I had my plan. I had everything ready and set. And for some reason, and I know this is my higher power, because like, out of the whole craziness that happened that night, I was the one that called the police on myself to get arrested that night, which led me to Red Barn. And when I look at it, it's just like chain of events. Like, there's something that was guiding me here. And so I always was thinking about the spiritual connections and what would my story look like? Do I even have one? And I do. And part of it is just getting me to Red Barn. But that was my plan, right? And I ended up in jail. And I'm just like, okay, here we go again, right? I know I'm looking at going to prison, and I didn't really want to go to prison. I don't know who does. And so I tried to do whatever I could, you know, give me a program. It's the first thing that we do is we try to find ways out, right? The easy way out. That's what I always wanted in my life, was the easier, softer way. And none of those ever worked for me, because the easier, softer way is I never learn anything. I always just want to cut corners. And so that's what I was trying to do. I asked the judge to get a program, and they said, here's Red Barn. But 2 years. Says, try to find a shorter one. Because that's me, right? The easy way, the short way, the fast way, the instant gratification. And so I really thought about it. This is the first good decision I made in my life in such a long time. And it wasn't, part of me was lying to myself, because I have other reasons why I'm here. And I would say, that's why I'm coming. But for me, it was selfish. It was always been selfish for me until here. Like, I came here because I was selfish, because I didn't want to go to prison. And that's what kept me here. I don't really want to talk too much about all that, because really what I want to talk about is my stay at Red Barn, because that's really where my life started to change. And and I started to gain peace in my life. You know, I have all these things now, and it's just something that I really am grateful for. So, like, really, I guess I could just go through kind of my journey here. You know, I ended up making the decision to come and take the chance and try something new. And I just remember driving here like it was yesterday, you know, and sitting on that bench and wondering, like, what the heck did I get myself into? Like, this is crazy. I was scared, I was nervous, I was anxious. I didn't feel like I belonged here. I didn't feel a part of. I didn't feel like people were genuine. And I didn't feel like I deserved it. You know, like the love that these guys were giving me. I didn't feel like I deserved it because I couldn't even love myself. Like, I didn't love myself for a very long time. And I just remember coming here and people were kind to me, you know. I hadn't had that in a long time. People actually cared. And I struggled for a while. You know, I fit in, I flew under the radar. I was good at flying under the radar my whole life, you know. And so I tried to do that for a while, and they caught on real quick. They caught on super quick. I was quiet in games. I didn't participate, you know, and I kind of just stayed stagnant. I kind of acted as if, because I am a master manipulator just like the rest of us, and I like to say I'm pretty good at it. And so that's what I did, you know, and I never had a problem working hard. So really the intern phase, when I look back on it, man, is like, how did I do that? How did I make it through that? And when I ask myself that, I say that because if I can make it through that, any one of you guys can make it through that. Like, because I'm a runner. When things get tough, I run. If I don't like the way you talk to me, if I don't like a situation I'm put in, if before I came here, when people told me I'd have to get up and tell you guys my story, and I didn't want to do it, I would run. I would leave and I would throw everything away. And I don't have to do that today. But really, I made it through, and I just remember advancing, right? And then the intern phase, I didn't really get pulled up a lot. I didn't get a lot of hours. I kind of just hid. And then the freshman phase is when I started to find friends. Well, the wrong ones, right? The ones that didn't use the process, the ones that co-signed my bullshit, the ones that I co-signed theirs, or I looked the other way. And I was still super selfish person. And I just remember that's when my program really took a turn. Because for me, I thought I could do whatever I wanted and get away with it, and I could still lie and manipulate these guys, and I couldn't. Me and Mario was a part of it. Everyone knows Mario. We were in North Ogden on the move, right? And that's where my kids live. And so we decided it was a bright idea to take a turn down there in Big Red and honk the horn. And you know how things work. Red Barn will give you exactly what you need. And I honestly believe that. Like, every time I see it time and time again, and it's always for the better. And somehow it came back as a text message to Nicholas and Alan, and they weren't happy with me. And then I lied about it in the honor room. You know, I told them, no, we didn't do that, because I didn't want those guys to get in trouble. I was protecting them. That's what I thought in my mind, because we were friends. That's what friends do, right? We protect each other. We don't tell on each other. And man, that was silly when I think about it, you know, because one, he's not here any longer, but he came clean, right? And so I was the first one that I got put on contract for a week because I lied in the honor room. You know, we all got our comeuppance and we moved forward. And I remember I was so angry. I missed the point. I felt, how could they do this to me? Like, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, and that's the story I told myself. It's so backwards, you know. And I just remember having conversations about saying, this can be the turning point in your stay. you know, and 3 months from now, you're going to laugh at it. And that's exactly what I did, you know, and I didn't run. That's probably the first time in my life I didn't run. You know, I even said, if I could put on contract, I'm leaving, I'm out of here. And I actually played the tape through, had a couple crucial conversations with some older brothers that really kind of shed some light on like what I was doing and why did I have to run, you know? And that's when everything started to change. I still went through some struggles. Still didn't agree with a lot of things here, you know, and then I kind of just, I mean, that was really the hardest part of my freshman phase was that part. And then resident is when things changed for me. I look back on it, it took me 8 months to start holding people accountable, really, and to use a process. I got put into leadership. Things started to happen, you know, and that's when my eyes started to open. Like, I started to take a chance and say, hey, man, I kind of like who I look at in the mirror today. Like, I kind of like who I'm seeing. Like, who is this guy, right? Like, he has a little bit of integrity. He kind of does the right thing. Kind of feels good to like teach people how to treat you and act around you and like have a voice and boundaries. And I was like, I kept doing it, you know? And partly I started to because people were telling me to. People that I looked up to, like Logan, Jeffrey. There's some guys here that aren't anymore. I looked up to those guys and they said, hey, do this. Like, okay, what do I got to lose? And what do I have to gain? And I didn't have anything to lose and I had everything to gain. So I started doing it and then kept hearing service, be of service, make it about other people. And that's when I really started to do that, was a resident. And I don't know, man, like just service to me is making it about other people is what really makes my day. That's what I get to do today. There's a few times as a resident, right when I became a resident, man, I had my entitled game. I'm a super entitled person, right? Like I used to live in the gray area. I don't live in the gray anymore. You know, I used to have way too many clothes, but in my mind, they were justified. I could justify anything to you guys. You know, I'm sure we all can, but I got things taken away. You know, I learned hard lessons here at Red Barn, but all those lessons, man, they taught me that I can push through some things, and I can do hard things. Like, and I'll be okay. I'll be okay at the end of it, and I'll make it through, and I'll be that much stronger. You know, and really, that's in my resident phases when I started making real friends. Like I have real friends. Like that's when I started getting real connections, not the ones that I thought were my friends. The ones that we would co-sign each other's stuff, like we would start holding each other accountable because we cared about each other. And they said it usually takes about a year for us to make friends here. And that's exactly what happened. It's kind of crazy when I look back at it, everything they told me, kind of, it's pretty close to what they told me, almost. And so I started to listen. And just as I don't know, I started to get peace in my life, happiness, joy, things started to come back in my life. Relationships that I've broken so bad that I never thought were possible to mend, you know. I have those back today. Things that I never thought were possible, like me doing this in front of you guys. I'm proud of myself, you know, and I can't say that I've been proud of myself for a long time. I don't think I have known who I am for a very long time. And then I became a senior resident. And I mean, I guess along the way, they made me a crew lead. You know, to be trusted again is something great because I'm not very trustful. I am now today. I can say I'm a trustworthy person and I'm honest today. Before though, no. Like whatever I could get from you, or if I had to lie to you, I didn't care. I didn't know. I really didn't care. And to be trusted to go out there and drive those trucks. I remember that feeling the first time. I was like, holy cow, they trust me to do this. Like, these guys are crazy to trust me with this big truck, you know? And 4 other guys just like me, like, what, this place is insane. And that's just what I remember thinking. And it happens all the time, man. I catch myself today, like me and Travis going in-home estimate, and I'm just like, these guys are crazy that they trust us like this, you know? But we've earned that. We've been consistent enough times to earn trust. And just, I don't know, becoming a senior resident was probably when I started to get the most love for this place and the most growth as a person, to find out like who I really am and what's really important to me. They made me a house manager, which I didn't think I deserved that either. Everything I get, I never think I deserve, or I can do the job, or I'm not worthy of it. And that's just a story I tell myself, you know, because me and everyone in this room is fully capable of doing great things. We are our own worst enemy. I know I am, for me. And so I just did the best I could, man. And then I just kept doing the best I could every single day for I don't know how many days now. But every day I wake up and I do the best I can. And I've done things here that I never thought I would do in my life. I've spoken to kids that have wanted to hear the Red Barn story, you know, I get to talk to you guys, go out there and be of service to the community. And really, like, what my favorite thing here at Red Barn is helping. Hopefully I get to help some of you guys have what I have today. Find peace. Peace is if the number one thing I can say that I've gained from Red Barn is peace in my life today. Like, I'm okay with who I am. And I don't know. I'm just grateful for this place. You know, I have brothers, family. You guys are my family. And I can honestly say today, I love each and every one of you. I have mentors, people who care about me, you know, and I wouldn't have that stuff if it wasn't for Red Barn. Really, what do you guys want to know about my story? Like, what do you guys want to know? I'm an open book.
What's the hardest phase for you? Hardest phase?
I would probably have to say resident. It's super long. I was still coming between the freshmen. I was still poking holes in things, and then I was still kind of there. And then we had a whole bunch of our brothers leave, about 14 of them, due to not holding people accountable, and we had some cell phones in the house and some other things. And once they left, it was kind of like a breath of fresh air. I mean, I still, you know, they made their decisions, but that was probably the hardest phase for me. We lost a lot of brothers. There was a lot of things going on in the house. I was trying to find out who I was still. I didn't know if I wanted to do this or this. And so.
Was it where you got growth though?
For different kind of growth. But yeah.
So you talked about what helped you start giving feedback in games.
Yeah, I would love to. I will tell you guys why I'm so why giving feedback is so important to me. Because before, when I got here, I didn't participate at all. I didn't give any feedback. I sat back, like I said, and I tried to fly under the radar. The way they got me to give feedback was, well, first of all, they would play the game with me every time. Say, you need to give feedback. Okay, I'll do better next time. But I didn't. So the program director basically chewed my ass in a circle and says, you're giving feedback for the remainder of games, every single game. And that's how it started. You know, and then I was proud of myself that I did something hard. Like, oh, I can do this. You know, and then they're like, see, we just want to hear you, you just need practice. And then I started to do that. And then, you know, I just kept doing it. That's how I started to get feedback, was I was forced to. I didn't always just like to get feedback because I didn't think I knew you because I didn't know you, or I wasn't there because I wasn't at Sticky Bird, you know, or whatever it was. And so I was like, I can't give Jake feedback because I don't even know Jake. It's not about the person. Like, I care about you guys all the same now, so it doesn't really matter to me now. But the way I used to have to look at it was, it's a situation. And the advice that was given to me was, talk to them like you're talking to yourself, you know, or put a different face on it if you have to. You don't have to know the person to want to help them. And that's what really helped me. I got a lot of advice on that, but really I was just open to it. Ethan.
How's your why progressed from coming in throughout the program and then your decision to commit to a third year?
That's a good question. It evolves all the time, but really my why was a selfish at first. I guess it's selfish now. You know, it's just in a different kind of selfish. At first it was prison. I didn't want to go to prison. That's it. That's why I was here. That's why I came. That's why I stayed. That's what got me through the tough times, and I'm grateful for having that. Because I don't know that I'd be strong enough without it. That over my head, I probably would have left many times. It's gone through my head a lot, and I'm grateful that kept me here. But now today, I don't think about that. That doesn't bother me. It's not something that's keeping me here. Like, I'm here because I want to be here. And I have other things that I'm getting in my life back. You know, relationships are coming back, and so my why is, but mainly, and I say it's selfish because it's for me today. It's not for me not to go to prison because I'm scared to go to prison, or I don't want to go to prison, or it's because I want to be successful and be happy. And that's why I stay today, because I want to have everything that I deserve in life. And this is how I get it, is Red Barn. And I stick around. So I decided, and I'll tell you, it was hard to decide to stay because a lot of the guys in my class are leaving. As you guys know, they're going on their workout soon. And for me, in my mind, I'm like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it, you know, but we're not the same. And I had and that's probably the second best decision I ever made, a logical decision. I had the ability to sit back and have crucial conversations with people and ask for help and get ideas off of people and be like, this is what I'm thinking, and they're like, well, you got to make a logical decision, man. It's all your thoughts you're basing everything off emotion, right? And it's what I wanted in the moment. It's not what I really needed. And so, yeah, my why is a lot different today, but it's for myself. A different kind of way. I don't know how to word that better for you.
So, you know, you say you suffer from self-worth, you suffer from not knowing who you were as a person. So have you figured out who Corey is and what your self-worth is? You know, what does that look like for you today?
Yeah, more. I wouldn't say 100%. I still doubt myself a lot. I still struggle with it. Like, sometimes I don't think that I'm worth, I have as much self-worth as I probably should. But today I know who I am. Like, I know I stand for something, and I know I bring something to the table today. I really don't, let's say, I'm going to tell you guys my story, right? I overthink it, and I'm like, these guys don't need to hear this. They don't want to hear, like, it's not that big a deal. Like, and so right, like, to me, that's that self-worth, that it's not important, that I'm not important. But then I don't know, man. I don't really know how to word that, but being at Red Barn and having all you guys and the support I've had has shown me that, like, and the constant, like, I don't even know if they're attaboys, but like just saying, basically, like, reinforcing that, man, like, we all have worth, you know. It's a constant, it's something I have to work on constantly, like that my voice matters. You know, that what I have to say matters. And so just know that you guys that struggle with that, thinking, giving feedback or saying something, that your voice matters, like it does matter. And you guys aren't the only ones that struggle with that. So, Adam.
What's one of your all-time favorite moments?
My all-time favorite moments. Man, I couldn't even tell you that. Like, honestly, every day is an awesome moment for me. It just, whoever I'm with, we always have good times. I couldn't even tell you. There's some that sticks out. Just probably the moves, man, like brake checking guys when they're falling asleep when we're riding home and scaring the crap out of them. But today, awesome moments for me, like, awesome moments for me, man, is when I get to watch you guys and see you grow. Like, those are really my awesome moments that I cherish. Is like, man, like, look at this guy, man. He's about to be a freshman. I just remember the house meeting that I got to host. I was super scared and nervous, but that was probably one of my awesomest moments because I was front and center, man. And I'm sorry, it makes me so proud of you guys because I know how hard this program and this journey is. And so whenever I see you guys do something that you don't think you can do, or give some awesome feedback, or come outside your shell, or wake up on time, you know, like those are the moments for me. But there's a lot of funny moments, man. But I really can't think of the box, the 150-pound box with Mario. That day was a good day. I cracked my head open that day too. You know, we have good times here.
Have any regrets on this process?
Yeah, I do. I didn't buy in sooner. That's my one. If I could change anything, I would definitely. That's what I would wish that I would have done, is been open to it, taking some advice and trying something different sooner. Because, man, what I gained out of it when I started to buy in at 8 months, I just look back and I'm like, man, if I only would have bought in at 30 days, like, holy smokes, you know, like how much more I could have gotten from here. And they say it's 2 years, take your time. It's good. You got plenty of time, man. Like, I'm like, wow. I've been here for 20 months and it doesn't feel like that. So when they say that, it's yeah, take your time with your task, but like, get the most out of the program. You know, like, that's what I would have done. Other than that, no regrets. Everything that happened here at Red Barn, all the times I stepped in it, I'm grateful for them today, because without them, I wouldn't have found what I needed to find here. And then I would be the same person. So,
While of this is becoming this place broken practice, you feel you as a resident find your voice and start talking games and stuff and giving some feedback out to their season?
yeah, I mean, I was giving feedback as a freshman, mainly because it was required, you know, and I got the red shirt and I felt like I was kind of arrived a little bit. So started to play some games, but I would hold people accountable for your responsibilities. Like, hey man, you didn't turn your lights off, you know, the easy ones. And for me, that's how I got practice. That's how I got practice, because it was hard for me, especially if I liked you and you were my friend. That's what I thought. Like, friends don't hold friends accountable because I don't want you to get the hours, you know, and so that's where I started. But yeah, as a resident, then I started that's when I started to attack the real behaviors. And I just remember I had an aha moment when I was like, I don't want to play the game with him because he's going to get hours, man. And I don't want him to get hours because I hate hours. And then I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, that is the most twisted way of thinking. because it's his behavior. And if I care about this guy, like, he needs this, and I'm doing him a disservice. And so that's what that's the conclusion I came to. And at the end of the day, man, like, I don't like hours either. That's where that's where I get to do my homework. And that's where I get to really examine, like what am I doing? And I get to check myself, and I get to adjust and recalibrate. So, but yeah, resident, I would say.
So a lot of stuff you had to do your own stuff, like without encouraging like leaders, like in your own like personal time, like how did you handle it? And what I mean by that is like taking out of your recovery, out of the whole entire thing, and apply like inside your shell, you got tough guy, and then you got like your feminine, like you got your sobriety, your cradling, and like fragile, where like how do you handle fragile when your own time and like without you.
When I'm feeling fragile, the best thing that I've found for me, and it's still hard for this day, man, because I'm super prideful, and I don't want to look weak, because part of it is the position that I am, the responsibility. So asking for help. That's what I have conversations. I have a lot of conversations with a lot of people. And when I'm feeling like that, or feeling fragile, I try to make it about other people. I try to get into somebody else's stuff, or go connect, because what I've learned is connection is what's really important, not the hard work. No, I mean, yeah, hard work's important, right? Because that's what we do, but asking for help, those conversations, man, trusting in the people around you, that they care and that they had my best interests at heart. That's what I did. I would just ask for help. I would talk to Kevin real a lot. He helped me a lot. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Corey G, for sharing your story and having the courage. Again, he's a great leader in this house and a super good example to all of us. Personally, Corey, you've just saved my life and kept me here through my struggles, and I appreciate it, man. Again, let's give another round of applause. So this next guy, when I think of him, I think of a great leader. I think of the moves mostly. This guy's taught me a lot on the moves. He's quiet, but man, you get to know him. He's got a lot of knowledge. He's got a lot to share, and he's given back a lot in this house, you guys. So let's give him a warm round of applause. Mason.
Wow, this is different. This is nerve-wracking. This is not something I normally do. I don't like talking in front of people, and I don't like talking about myself. So bear with me. A little backstory about myself. I was born in Fairbanks, Alaska. I have two younger half sisters. Growing up was not typical. My mother, she had me when she was in high school. So I don't know who my father is. And so there isn't a lot of stability. My grandparents were in my life, though, luckily a lot. And my grandparents are a big part of my life today. Luckily, they're still here. And they're a big part of the reason that, like, I'm here at Red Barn, really. So growing up, my mother got married to my sister's father. We moved in with him when I was young, and they had my two half sisters. He wasn't the nicest person. He was abusive. I grew up that with for a few years until I hit, I think, about 13, and my mother decided to divorce him for the second time. And after that, my mother decided to move down back to Utah to go back to school, and I came with her. But at that point, I was angry. I grew up very angry, and I grew up very resentful. I had a chip on my shoulder. And as soon as I got to Utah, I just came out guns a-blazing. It was over at that point. As soon as I got to school, I was already in old behaviors. I caught my first felony when I was like 14 or 15. I was in and out of the juvenile detention, and I was in drug court. It took me 2 years to finish that. And it didn't get any better after that. Obviously, it just gets worse. It just gets progressive. After drug court, let's see. Yeah, I just lived super selfishly. That's basically it, man. Like all the way up until I came to Red Barn. Like I was in and out of the justice system, in and out of jails, catching more felonies, and just living super selfishly, abusing everybody I could, using everybody I could to get what I wanted. I felt like the world owed me at that point. I felt like the world had done me an injustice by the way I was raised and by me not knowing my father, and just whatever excuse I could come up with in my head to get what I wanted, basically. And then I tried for some sobriety a couple times on my own. And the last time was like before this, it was like 2017 or something like that. I got like 6 or 8 months. I ended up meeting a girl in recovery. And I don't recommend this. It didn't end well. We ended up relapsing together. And we ended up, living together for a couple years. Until one morning, I woke up and I found her dead. She overdosed in the middle of the night. And that's it's something that still sticks with me today, man, but it's what got me here. After it happened, I gave up. Like I fully gave up on life. I didn't want to live anymore. I didn't care who I hurt in the process. And it took me about a year after that of just running my life into the ground, doing everything I could to die, basically, before I got to a point where I committed the crimes that got me here. And after I got to jail, I had a few months of sobriety, luckily, and I cleared up the fog out of my head a little bit. And I realized that if I couldn't give up on myself. If I wanted to live, I had to do something different. And that's when I heard about Red Barn. I heard about Red Barn in jail. I had no idea what it was. I just heard that it was a lot of structure. It was 2 years long. And I was like, hey, man, I heard somewhere that like it takes 2 years for your brain to fully recover off of drug use. So I was like, send it. That's it. That's what I need. If I go back out on drug court or probation or some other program or whatever, I already knew what was going to happen. I've already went down that road, and I was going to end up right back in the same spot again. And that's not a good spot to be. We all know that. So yeah, that's when I reached out. I wrote a letter. It didn't take them long to respond back. They took me pretty much immediately. I didn't have to sit in county for more than a few months. So that's pretty much my backstory. I don't like talking about that a whole lot, but that gives you a little about Macen. But really, let's talk about what Red Barn is. I want to talk about what Red Barn has done for me, and what I've got to work on since I've been here. So my time here, what I've noticed now later in my program is that like attitude is everything, and that's what I struggled with my whole life, basically. I felt like a victim. I felt like the world owed me for this whatever reason, that reason, but it's not true, man. Like the world doesn't owe me shit. Like I owe the world a lot more than it owes me, basically. And it's taken me a long time to realize that, man. Like I've gone through some hard games. It's hard, like not finding my part in a lot of things, but like, let's see. I'm gonna just read some stuff. It'll be easier. Yeah, no matter the circumstance, I get to choose how I react to it, man. That's really what's gonna save my life, and that's what I've realized, and that's what I've got to practice since I've been here. Like I don't agree with a lot of stuff that goes on here either. A lot of people don't, but I get to choose how I show up in the morning. I get to choose how I treat you guys, man. Like you guys don't have my crap coming. if I'm in a bad mood, I still want to show up for you guys the best that I can. And by realizing that, it's easier to shift that perspective. It's easier to do it. It's easier to put on that smile and put on a good attitude, man. The hard times really do equal growth. Like I said in the beginning of this, I would never do this. I'm required to do this, so I'm talking to you guys. But I'm nervous to do it. I was nervous to do it, but like I'm excited at the same time because I know that this is something I have never done and would never have done otherwise. And that's what Red Barn does, man. It just like Corey G said, it puts you in these spots that you need to be. And I'm grateful that it's happened before I left here, because this is an awesome experience, man. I get to reflect when I'm going through it, with time under my belt and seeing and being somewhere safe to reflect. I've realized that my thinking really is the problem. Like, it's me that's the problem. It's not everybody else. It's not circumstance. It's me. I become selfish and then I become negative. But if I want to fix that, I become selfless. I make it about you guys. That's how I get outside of myself. I've gained a support system here. I have a lot of people that I can talk to while I'm here. And people that I plan on talking to afterwards, people that actually care about me. And some of my favorite moments, just like Corey said, man, was just out there grinding with you guys. That's some stuff that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life, man. I felt so proud of some of you guys on some of those moves, just out there for 12, 13, 14 hours. And you guys just show up, man. It puts a smile on my face. It warms my heart to see you guys go through it and like have a smile while you're doing it, man. It was so inspirational for me because, like I said, my attitude sucks, man. Like, I wasn't happy to do it a lot of the time, but since you guys were happy to do it, it made me happy to do it, man. And I appreciate that. Yeah. That's pretty much it, man. Like, it's not an easy process, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it to stick around. Like, nothing happens overnight. Anything worth having, it takes some time to get. You guys just got to stick it out, man. That's really all I got. If you guys got any questions, let me know. Adam.
What's one thing you've learned about yourself while being here?
Oh, well, something I've learned about myself. I used to think that I wasn't a people person. I used to think that I just wanted to isolate and be away from everybody, but I realized that's the opposite is true, man. I love being around you guys. Like, I have to have you guys around me to be who I want to be. But I realized that I'm really a people person.
What was the most helpful thing for you learning how to
As far as actually like planting it,
Or medium,
well, for me, it was like when someone would piss me off. That's what it took in the beginning. In the beginning, it's like, oh, you pissed me off. So, but it's just practice, man. It's all about just practicing.
How long did it, like, when you start trusting the process and like, when you start trusting in the people that were around you?
I came in broken.
I came in and I dove in like the best that I could at the time. Like, I seen people here, the older guys, that looked like they found peace and happiness, and I wanted what they had. So I tried to do what they did. It didn't take me long to start doing the thing, Zombie.
What's some of the best advice you've received since being a Red Barn?
I hate to say it, but it's just be okay with some shit. It's like, that's really the best advice you can give, like, that I've gotten, is just be okay with it. It's not that nothing that happens here is that big a deal. Really not. And that applies out there too, man. Copy.
What phase of your program did you get the most growth?
As a resident, man, for sure. That's just, there was just so much grinding, and then once you're done grinding, you got to come here, and then being in leadership, it's just that resident phase, man. It's really where I had to step up. Like Corey G was saying, when all those guys left, it left a lot of space open, a lot of leadership positions, and there were some shoes to fill. So that's what we did, man, and got a lot of growth out of it.
What would you say was the biggest skill you had to acquire when it came to becoming a leader?
How do I say this? It's not being selfish, man. It's checking in with people because I want to check in with them, not because I have to check in with them. And in the beginning, it was more like a chore. I was doing what I was told, but after doing it for a while, it becomes a habit, man. It's what I enjoy doing now, is being selfish and helping out where I can and checking in with the guys.
What's next for Mason?
Good question, man. In terms of what?
Workout or ready for third year?
Probably work out. I wouldn't mind being an Amazon delivery driver, you know, listen to podcasts, cruise around.
What was the biggest obstacle you persevered in?
Myself, man, I get in my own way so much, but it's awesome that I'm here in this safe place to like practice doing it, to realize that I am the one that's getting in my own way, you know, like after I surrendered to the process and took in the input everybody was giving me, it was just so much easier, and I got so much more out of it.
When you work out, what's kind of your plans for staying like involved and active in recovery once you actually leave here?
So I'm gonna do the 12-step programs. I've done them before. I was never a fan because I never got fully involved. I was always scared to share. And that's why I'm grateful for this experience right now, is because now it's not so bad now that I'm doing it. Now I feel like now I can go out there and do this in front of other people and actually get involved in recovery out there. So I'm going to do the 12 steps. I'm going to probably take up some classes like boxing or dancing or who knows, ballet. Yeah. Any other questions? Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mason, for sharing your story and having the courage. Thanks for being such a great leader, and thanks for giving back out there on the moves. Like for me, like the grinders, thanks for the connection, man, getting to know you. Like you've been an inspiration to me. So thank you guys, Corey G and Mason.